Mazuma TV back in the building, man. What's going on, y'all? Shout out to Mazuma Nation. Shout out to the Mazuma Mob. We in the building as always, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive day. About to be on my way to go get it as always, man. I hope y'all doing the same, man. On the road to 2K, man. We went into the 1,700 mark, man. About to hit that 1,800 mark in due time. So shout out to the nation, shout out to the mob for making this possible. All right, y'all, let's get back to the conversation that we was having last night on live. You know what I mean? If you didn't check out the live, please go check it out, man. We had some great boxing conversation on there, and we were just speaking on the whole Jaime Mungia Canelo Alvarez situation. You know what I mean? It's official, signed, ready to go. May 4th, Cinco de Mayo weekend, Canelo Alvarez will be taking on Jaime Mungia. You feel what I mean? And it's a great fight. I think it's the second best fight for Canelo Alvarez to make at this point in his career. I think we all know that the fight to make for Canelo Alvarez so far is the David Benavidez fight, but you know, I would rather see Benavidez, but it's still a good fight nonetheless. You know what I mean? I think it makes a lot of financial sense. You know what I mean? The Mexicans definitely going to be coming out. They're going to be excited. They're going to be looking forward to this fight because it's pretty much that new up-and-coming Mexican dude that's on the scene, Jaime Mungia, that's looking to prove himself, you know, because at this point in time, he's fought some guys, you know, like Gabe Rosado, John Ryder, and shit like that, but he's, like, unproven in a sense. You know what I mean? In comparison to Canelo Alvarez, who's that Mexican guy. He's the face of Mexican boxing right now, one of the faces of boxing in general, that's been on top of Mexico for many years now. You feel what I mean? Pretty much since the Floyd Mayweather loss, Canelo has been the face of Mexico's boxing. You feel what I mean? The Mexican boxing scene. So what I want to get into in this particular video, man, is the chances that Jaime Mungia has against Canelo Alvarez. Does he have what it takes to give Canelo Alvarez problems or even possibly defeat Canelo Alvarez? Because whenever this topic is discussed, man, it seems like a lot of people aren't really too sure about Jaime Mungia and what he brings to the table, what he's capable of doing against Canelo Alvarez. And I understand because at the end of the day, like I said, he's an unproven fighter. You know what I mean? He hasn't fought anybody that we thought he could possibly lose to or anything like that. So there's some question marks around him. There's question marks on his resume and his overall abilities, and I'm understanding of that. However, I want to speak from a real objective point of view. You know, if you want to call it playing devil's advocate, fuck it. You know what I mean? Call it what it is. But let's really speak about this objectively, man. Let's speak about Canelo Alvarez and how he's changed as a fighter, going from 154 to 168, and then let's analyze Jaime Mungia overall. And let's point out what Jaime Mungia could do or what could hurt him going against Canelo Alvarez. You feel what I mean? So with Canelo Alvarez, man, when he was at 154, when he was that redhead kid on the scene that everybody was, you know, praising, you know what I mean? Canelo Alvarez was somebody who had okay punch output. He wasn't always the biggest volume puncher, but it was a lot better when he was at 154 in comparison to 168. Fast hands, accuracy, he plays body shots real good, you know, and he has some defensive responsibility as well. You feel what I mean? He has some boxing ability. He wasn't the typical what you want to call Mexican style where he's walking to you and you know he just ripping hooks and stuff like that. No, he has some boxing ability in his arsenal. You know, he has some good upper body movement, and his upper body movement really peaked at the middleweight division where he had flat feet, but he was able to make up for it, stand in front of you and make you miss, you know, and make you pay in certain circumstances and shit like that. So he had the goods, you know what I mean? And Canelo Alvarez is still a top fighter. He still has the goods, but as he's transitioned on from middleweight, Canelo Alvarez has adopted this style where he's pretty much abandoned the upper body movement, and he walks to you with the high guard, you know, pushes you to the ropes, and once he corners you or pins you to the ropes, he'll throw some big hooks, he'll throw shots at the shoulders, the arms, you know, just looking to you know, throw bombs on you, and then he'll reset, do the same thing, but he's real nice and composed and not really throwing too much in the early rounds because he's saving his stamina for the later rounds, and that's usually how he drowns you. Hence what he did to Caleb Plant. You know what I'm saying? Caleb Plant was winning them early rounds, but he started to fatigue as the rounds went on. Canelo was able to, you know, preserve his gas tank in the later rounds, and then he was able to drown Caleb Plant as a result of that. And that's what he's been doing lately. You feel what I mean? Now, with Canelo Alvarez having this certain style at super middleweight right now, will that be effective against somebody like Jaime Mungia? Now, Jaime Mungia, you know, he's a big dude. You feel what I mean? High punch output in comparison to Canelo Alvarez. They're drastically different in that department in terms of who lets their hands go more. Jaime Mungia is always in superb shape. You know what I mean? He's always had great conditioning, and he lets his hands go relentlessly. So that's something that they differ in a sense. You feel what I mean? Great offense Jaime Mungia has, man. He lets his hands go. He's sharp with his punches, and he has some power, man. He has some power. He's extremely aggressive. He's come forward, and he's shown to have a chin. Like, we seen him get rocked and, stunned in fights and stuff like that, but we never seen him down. We never seen him out. You know what I'm saying? And he's an undefeated guy. So, he has the confidence of an undefeated fighter. He has great punch output, superb conditioning, and he has some durability, man. He could take a shot. And we have to be mindful that Canelo Alvarez hasn't stopped nobody since Caleb Plant. There's fighters that, if Canelo Alvarez was at a younger point in his career, he might have been able to stop. I think a younger version of Canelo Alvarez would have been able to stop Triple G in the third fight. I thought he should have been able to stop John Ryder. But for some reason, he blamed it on injuries and stuff like that. He wasn't able to pull the trigger. You know what I mean? He wasn't really able to get them up out of there. And I think it really chalks up to him being on a decline, with a little bit of not trusting his stamina. You know what I mean? Because when you don't trust your stamina, you're not going to pull the trigger because you're worried about whether you're going to get tired or not. So that's what I think goes on with Canelo Alvarez. I think it's a little bit of him, just getting older, a lot of wear and tear. And I think that's why Canelo Alvarez has been resorting to other things. I think he has one foot outside of boxing right now, one foot out the door. This man has gas stations. He has all these different business ventures. He got his own seltzer liquor, whatever the hell you want to call it, VMC. And then he's been participating in golf a lot. You know what I mean? And the reason why a lot of people play golf is because it's therapeutic. And I think Canelo Alvarez is doing that because of the stress and things that he deals with in boxing. I think that he may have some type of burnout from boxing. It is very much real. You feel what I mean? But since he makes so much money and he happens to be good at it, he continues to participate in it. You feel what I mean? That's just what I personally believe, right? So with all of this being known about both guys that I just broke down, man, what is Jaime Mungia's chances? Now, I'm going to tell you this. What I didn't mention about Jaime Mungia is that he has great offense. But what stands out just as much as his offense is his lack of defense. You know what I mean? Jaime Mungia gets hit a lot, man. He's pretty easy to hit, in all honesty, man. I don't know if Freddie Roach is going back to the drawing board and just making some adjustments with him defensively. If he sharpens up on defense and has some type of defensive responsibility, that'll make him an even better fighter. You know what I'm saying? I think it'll make him a more well-rounded fighter. And I think that he'll be able to win fights in a more impressive fashion. The John Ryder win was impressive, but there were certain instances where John Ryder was landing clean on Jaime Mungia. You know what I mean? He wasn't hurting him or anything like that. He stood up to the shots. But the fact that he was just getting hit clean, it just wasn't a good look. You know what I mean? And that's something you really can't afford to do with somebody like Canelo Alvarez, who's a pretty decent puncher. You know what I'm saying? His power has translated all the way to 175 and stuff like that. Like, he's a strong dude. And although he's not an accumulative puncher, Canelo Alvarez is, he still has enough where he could hurt you in one shot and ultimately finish you. We've seen it happen. Canelo Alvarez has good killer instinct. You know what I mean? So if he gets you hurt, it's a good likelihood that he might get you out of there. You feel me? So this is something that Jaime Mungia can't really afford to do, is really take big shots from Canelo Alvarez. You know what I mean? Canelo Alvarez is a great counter puncher, so it might be some situations where Jaime Mungia might get reckless and he might touch the canvas as a result of getting hit with a sharp shot from Canelo. That's just what I personally believe. You know what I mean? But besides all of that, one thing that we got to take into consideration is that there are fighters that weren't as big as Jaime Mungia that made it the distance with Canelo Alvarez. Guys like Jermell Charlo, John Ryder. Let's just mention those two right there. You feel what I mean? Old ass Triple G in his 40s. So who's to say that Jaime Mungia can't go the distance with him? And because Jaime Mungia has superb condition, if he were to get rocked by Canelo Alvarez, it's a good likelihood that he'll be able to recover quickly because he's in pretty good shape. And when you're in pretty good shape, you tend to recover from a shot quicker than somebody who's not in shape. You feel me? So these are things that you really got to think about. I'm going to tell you this, though. I understand why Canelo Alvarez is the favorite going into this fight. I do think he's a sharper, better boxer overall. And I think that he's going to catch Jaime Mungia with some hard, clean shots. And I think as a result, Jaime Mungia might get a little respectful. You know what I mean? But let's say it's a situation where, you know, he stands up to Canelo Alvarez's punch pretty well. You know what I mean? Where he isn't affected by Canelo's power. Canelo might be in trouble as a result of that, man. If he's able to take Canelo Alvarez's shot, you know, and not mind getting hit with that shot to let go of his offense, Canelo Alvarez might be in some trouble, man. Because like I said, he's not going to have the output to match Jaime Mungia. You know what I mean? Whenever Canelo Alvarez fights outside of his pace, he gasses out in the mid-rounds. We've seen it happen. And then he'll just coast. You know what I mean? He'll just coast. Like, he won't really step on the gas. You feel what I mean? But we seen this man, even in the smaller weight classes, we seen somebody test his conditioning and he'll get fatigued as a result. Like when he fought James Kirkland, he sparked James Kirkland. But in those rounds for those little bit of rounds that they were fighting, James Kirkland applied pressure that made Canelo real uncomfortable and gave him no choice but to, you know, fight him off and really let his hands go. And you could tell that after the James Kirkland fight, he looked pretty winded. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't go that many rounds. I think it only went like 3 or 4. You feel what I mean? So Jaime Mungia might be that person to get Canelo Alvarez uncomfortable and have him fight at a pace that he's not accustomed to fighting at. You know what I'm saying? And if he's able to do that successfully, if Jaime Mungia is able to successfully get Canelo Alvarez to fight outside his pace and not take much damage as a result, Canelo might be in trouble, man. Because it's going to be hard when it hits 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and Jaime Mungia is still throwing 50, 60, 70 punches around, and you trying to keep up with that when you're not accustomed to throwing punches that much. You feel what I mean? So I understand that Canelo Alvarez is the favorite. You know, I think that he has the better chance of winning between the two. However, I'm not counting Jaime Mungia out because there are some things within his style that could give Canelo Alvarez a lot of problems. And if he's able to go about things successfully, you know, if he's able to execute a great game plan with Freddie Roach, you feel what I mean? If he's able to let his hands go and not take too much punishment as a result, because he's going to get hit. He's going to get hit. As many chances and as reckless as Jaime Mungia gets, he's going to get hit. But if he's able to withstand that, if he's able to take those shots and not break down as a result of it, he has a pretty good chance of winning, man. So that's just my whole take on the situation, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Does Jaime Mungia have what it takes to defeat Canelo Alvarez? Does he have the style that's necessary to defeat Canelo Alvarez? Y'all leave y'all thoughts and opinions below. This is MazUma TV. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm out of here, man. Peace.